Hello everyone and welcome to the 15th and final Grand Prix of Unlimited Racing 2D Championship Season 4. We're here in Interlagos in Brazil for the final Grand Prix, but before we head into the exciting weekend, let's take a look at the standings. Charles Leclerc, 21-point lead he has to Carlos Sainz. Can Carlos Sainz claw that back? It's going to be really difficult for the Spaniard, but anything can happen. We've seen Charles Leclerc, on a few occasions this season, having really bad weekends, finishing as low as 8th, I think. Max Verstappen and George Russell are now mathematically out of the championship fight. Daniel Ricciardo, he's going to be in a close fight with Ocon, but with his podium last time out, that really helped him to P5. Can he keep that? I guess we'll find out soon. Pierre Gasly in P7 behind his teammate. The last few years, it's really looked like Pierre Gasly has been the number one driver. However, this year the tables and the roles have switched. It's Esteban Ocon being the team leader, even getting that one win in Belgium. Lando Norris P8, Valtteri Bottas P9, and Antonio Giovinazzi P10. Sergio Perez P11 with Alex Albon P12. Oscar Piastri having a really good debut season. Can he cap that off beating Mick Schumacher? Guess we'll see. Lance Stroll P15, Callum Ilott P16, Nico Hulkenberg P17, Nikita Mazepin P18, Kevin Magnussen P19, and Yuki Tsunoda P20. Constructors wise, it looks like this with Alpine. They know what they have to do to win the Constructors' Championship. However, one bad race today, and it's all over. Alfa Romeo, they have nothing to lose really. It's all in Alpine's hands, I guess you could say. There's also a really close battle for third place as well between Red Bull and Mercedes. 4 points is what separates Red Bull and Mercedes. That's going to be really close. Keep an eye on that fight as well. McLaren, I think they've been P5 practically the whole season. And Force India, the new team manager's resurgent Force India. P6, Williams P7, AlphaTauri P8, Haas P9, and Ferrari P10. Let's head into the weekend. Favorite for pole? I feel like George Russell's going to get the pole. I don't know why. It's just my gut feeling. Most of the time it's wrong. Going down to turn 1 is right. But now, it's really close. Even Norris is up there, and Sainz. Norris so far on the timing charts, he's the quickest. Whether he can hold that. This year's McLaren, it's definitely nowhere near as good as last year's. However, Lando still managed to get a few podiums. Pole position, I think, goes to Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz on pole. He knows what he has to do to become world champion, season 4 world champion. He's doing everything he can do to become season 4 world champion. Lando Norris P2, he'll be starting next to him. Charles Leclerc running P3, starting P3, with Giovinazzi splitting the two Alpines. Sergio Perez P6, Verstappen, this has been the story of the season, I guess you could say. He's just not being able to get qualifying, spot on. But I bet you next year, Max will be much stronger. Daniel Ricciardo P8, Pierre Gasly P9 with Valtteri Bottas P10, Esteban Ocon P11 in that really close battle between Mercedes and Red Bull. Oscar Piastri 12th, Alex Albon 13th, Lance Stroll 14th, Mick Schumacher 15th, Kevin Magnussen 16th, Callum Ilott 17th, Nikita Mazepin 18th, Nico Hulkenberg 19th, and Yuki Tsunoda P20. Let's get into this Grand Prix. Man, I can't wait for this Grand Prix. Everyone's starting on wet tyres, of course. It's Interlagos, what do you expect? Rain is always around the corner. Anyway, Carlos Sainz has got a good launch off the start. Antonio Giovinazzi, an even better launch off the start. Can Lando Norris go down the inside? Charles Leclerc losing some positions at the start. There, now even Daniel Ricciardo has managed to get him. However, Antonio Giovinazzi has the lead. But for how long? Sainz round the outside. No, he's playing it safe. He knows that the Drivers' Championship, is... I guess he has to win this Grand Prix. Further back, there's Charles Leclerc. battling with Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris. However, Valtteri Bottas is going down his inside. Down the inside he goes. Can he make the move to stick? I think Bottas... No, he won't. Honestly, the start of this Grand Prix is so reminiscent of Brazil 2012. With the chaos and the rain and what's on the line, you know. There's Charles Leclerc running in P4 for now. Max Verstappen, though, he knows what he has to do to not only help his teammate win the Drivers' World Championship, but to help the team as a whole to win the Constructors. However, all of the drivers now heading into the pits. This is going to be a pivotal moment in the Grand Prix. Sainz on the softs, Russell softs, Leclerc softs. Ricciardo is the first driver to go on the hards. Ocon, Albon, Piastri, Perez all on the hards. Schumacher and Hulkenberg, they're all on the hards. Carlos Sainz, though, now he's under a lot of pressure from George Russell. Can he keep P1? George Russell down the inside. There's Carlos Sainz, he's going down the inside. Gets the move done. He could have used a little bit more us towards the end of the lap. George Russell really should let his teammate Charles Leclerc through, though. Multi 21 there. There's Max Verstappen, though, battling with Antonio Giovinazzi. Max knows that he has to dispatch Giovinazzi fairly swiftly, fairly quickly. But that's really tricky. Now Lando's trying to go around the outside of Max. Lando does go around the outside of Max. As this is all happening, Charles Leclerc's just gone past his teammate for P2. This is good enough for the championship, and Charles Leclerc knows that. A third of the way into today's Grand Prix. Ooh, Giovinazzi was looking for a move there. He was looking for a move. I think the soft tyre runners now, they'll begin thinking about pitting. Yeah, there. Russell in. Norris has also dived into the pits. Gasly's followed too. So now this just leaves Sainz and Leclerc. Obviously they're both on the softs, but Leclerc obviously being able to see Sainz with no cars in front, that's going to give him, motivation and confidence. Sainz goes a little wide. He will definitely box. I wonder if George Russell will be able to get the undercut on him. What tyres did George Russell pit? He pitted and fitted on the hards. So the undercut may be a little hard. There's George Russell. He's not undercut Carlos Sainz, but he has undercut his teammate. Daniel Ricciardo is there as well. However, Ricciardo's on wearing hards. Lando's on fresh hards. But just by doing that extra lap longer, Charles Leclerc has put himself in a position where he's going to be battling definitely with Lando Norris. And he's going to have to get past his teammate, although his teammate will probably just allow him through, I know that the Alpine environment, it's not a toxic environment inside the team. Both drivers get along with each other very well. Although, of course, just like every driver, they have that I want to be the best driver in the team, the number one driver in the team. Sainz, he has a fair way until he reaches the other back markers. So this is good, clean air for Carlos Sainz. Now he can just put in the laps until he reaches those back markers in about, let's say a lap and a half. Let's at least put in a few good laps. There, as we said, George Russell was just going to let Charles Leclerc drive past. However, even though Carlos Sainz and Alfa Romeo will be winning this Grand Prix, Carlos Sainz actually dives into the pits. Sainz dives into the pits, and whatever Sainz does, Leclerc will do. Just to cover off any, in case they increase the gap. Whatever Sainz does, Leclerc will do too. Sainz on the hards, Leclerc follows. He really wants to win this World Championship. And it will statistically make him the greatest driver of all time, the GOAT. If Leclerc can, win this championship. There's Sainz. Is he going to try the move? Yeah, he is. Oh! George Russell! Nearly forcing Carlos Sainz into the pits. What was he thinking? What on earth was George Russell thinking? That was really dirty driving. Honestly, really dirty driving. From George Russell, he should know better than that. That was almost like I think it was Ricciardo and Norris earlier on in the season at Monaco. Oh no, I think it was Ricciardo Russell actually. When Russell forced Ricciardo into the pits. Russell nearly tried the same thing on Carlos Sainz. Wow, that was a really close one for Carlos Sainz. He definitely lost a lot of time. George Russell could potentially get involved in this. However, it's looking really good for Alpine and the championship fight. Okay, Leclerc's gained a little bit on Carlos, but not enough. And the gap is fairly constant. I think the gap will decrease again a little after the back markers. There's Perez. I think Perez will be pitting this lap. Careful, Carlos Sainz. This time Sainz doesn't get caught out. But yeah, before the end of the race, I think Sainz will have maybe one more back marker to lap. The gap between Sainz and Leclerc is closing. Even though I guess you could say that's the blockbuster battle between obviously Sainz and Leclerc, Alpine versus Alfa Romeo. There's also another big battle happening, in the midfield for third and fourth between Red Bull and Mercedes. And as Sainz begins the final lap, where are the drivers? Pierre Gasly for Mercedes, P7, Daniel Ricciardo, P8, Valtteri Bottas, P9, Ricciardo and Bottas both in the Red Bull, and Esteban Ocon, P11. It's really close. On the timing charts, Ricciardo is really close to Gasly. He's actually overtaken Gasly now. Can George Russell interfere in this championship fight on the last corner? Oh, it's going to be close between the two Alpines. Whatever happens, Carlos Sainz wins the Grand Prix. However, Charles Leclerc is the Season 4 World Champion. He becomes the most successful driver in Unlimited Racing 2D history, with 2 World Championships to his name. Alpine have done it once again. Alpine now Constructors World Champions for a 3rd season running, even after all of the controversy before the season, in pre-season. Alpine have managed to do it. George Russell finishes off the podium. I think this is going to be the happiest second place of Charles Leclerc's career. Antonio Giovinazzi really close to getting a 4th podium. It has been an amazing season, a really good season for Antonio Giovinazzi. Lando Norris this season's not been as good as last, however, a few standout drives here or there. Max Verstappen, not where he would have wanted to finish, not only this Grand Prix but this season, but he's still young. There are still many more seasons for Max. Daniel Ricciardo, I think Red Bull may have just beaten Mercedes in the constructors fight. I think Ricciardo's 3 wins really helped Red Bull on the way to to receiving the third place. Valtteri Bottas P9, Alex Albon finishing off the top 10. Esteban Ocon just missing out, getting that race win in Belgium. What a Grand Prix that was at Belgium. Oscar Piastri in his debut season. What a debut season he's had. P12 as well today. A really good result for him. Sergio Perez P13, Lance Stroll P14, Kevin Magnussen P15, Mick Schumacher P16, Yuki Tsunoda P17, Callum Ilott P18, Nikita Mazepin P19, and Nico Hulkenberg last. Here it is. It's official. Charles Leclerc is the Season 4 World Champion. Carlos Sainz P2. The gap actually between Sainz, the top two, and Max Verstappen, 26 points. That's bigger than I thought it would be, especially as they're basically all in the same car. Max and George on the same points, but Max better average finish. Daniel Ricciardo P5. As I said, those 3 race wins really helped him. Esteban Ocon beating his teammate by 10 points. First time ever, I think, Esteban Ocon's beaten his teammate in the championship. Lando Norris P8, Valtteri Bottas P9, and Antonio Giovinazzi P10. P11, Sergio Perez, Alex Albon P12, Oscar Piastri just missing out, 9 points away from the 100-point mark. With Mick Schumacher beating Mick Schumacher, actually. That's a really good job from Oscar Piastri. Lance Stroll P15, Callum Ilott P16, Nico Hulkenberg P17, Kevin Magnussen P18, Nikita Mazepin P19, and Yuki Tsunoda last. Constructors-wise, there it is. 3 years now in a row. Can anyone stop Alpine? Can anybody stop Alpine? I mean, next year we won't be having rule changes. Maybe the year after. But what will be changing are the tires. The tires will be getting a little bit soft, actually, as we're going to the Michelin tires. So that's going to be interesting. Probably more pit stops. The hards are going to be more important. Yeah. There it is. Red Bull beating Mercedes by 8 points. McLaren in a solid 5th, with Force India 6th, Williams 7th, AlphaTauri 8th, Haas 9th, and Ferrari finishing the championship last. Thank you, and what a season it's been, ladies and gentlemen. I can't wait to see for next year. For the new season, obviously pre-season in Spain, that's going to be exciting. And next year we'll also be trying new qualifying as well. 3 races of next year will be using a longer qualifying method. So yeah, that's going to be exciting. Anyways, thank you for joining me this whole season. Can't wait to see you pre-season Spain. Thank you and goodbye.